Now that I had the world at my fingertips, some might expect me to play it safe. When you have everything, why bother risking it? One mistake could cause me to lose everything I've worked so hard for. I'd seen it time and time again, even the most powerful player dies eventually. Hardcore Minecraft doesn't forgive, and it certainly doesn't forget. But the thing is, the harder you push at your limits, the easier it is to surpass them. Back on the hardcore world for day 501. It was time for me to fix a problem that had been going on for hundreds of days. I had an Enderman XP farm, a gold farm, even a Wither Skull farm, but still no iron farm. My plans immediately went out the window when I found this stray cat. After taming it, I started heading up to build the farm. I spotted this skeleton horse and then got jumped by skeletons. For the rest of the night I built the farm. Day 502 I made a temporary staircase up to the farm because I needed to get 3 prisoners and a zombie into the cells. The tutorial called them villagers, but come on now. They're prisoners. I headed over to the breeder and said I was giving out freedom for free. Now begins what I like to call a solid half an hour of trauma. I built a minecart track up, but these guys clearly weren't going to make this easy. One ran off into my melon field and the others headed for the pumpkins. After some struggle, I got the first one into the farm. Day 503, I had to build this dirt bridge over to the farm because you can't place rails on grass path. Before long, the other 2 villagers have been successfully imprisoned. Now for the final part, a zombie. I found this one in leather armor who we're going to call Idiot. Idiot unfortunately had a very short life. I found his replacement, who I'll call, I don't know, Tyrone or something. Anyway, Tyrone tripped over and he fell in the hole, which means I now have a nearly complete iron farm. Day 504, I start building the spawning platform for the iron golems. This iron farm is by Wattles. I'll leave a link to his tutorial in the description below. With the platform done, I then worked on the killing chamber. The iron golems are going to fall in here, get killed by the lava, and then the iron ingots get sent to a chest. I know it looks really ugly right now, but I'll sort it out later. Day 505, I did some farming and then made a ton of money for my villagers. I also grew one of these huge spruce trees because I had a new project in mind. I wanted to decorate the iron farm by hiding it with a hot air balloon, and for that I would need wool. Do you see where this is going? I needed a wool farm. In return for their life savings, I gave the stonemasons a bunch of rocks. I'm sure that's a fair deal. Day 506 began with me gathering cobblestone. 500 days into this hardcore world and here I am gathering cobble. I also hung out with this Enderman, that was pretty cool, and then this wandering trader showed up. I took a long look into those eyes of his and killed him. My pets were super happy about it. I then started building the wool farm. A bunch of phantoms showed up because I never sleep and I had to take them out. Day 507, the farm was done and it was time to get the sheep. The entire day was spent finding sheep and getting them into position. I wouldn't get too attached to these guys because, spoiler alert, some of them die later. But we'll get to that. Day 508, I needed dark oak wood to decorate the wool farm, so I went out and committed mass deforestation. You know, like normal people. I was almost out of rockets, so I spent a while AFKing my creeper farm. I'm pretty sure I also wanted an excuse to go and make instant noodles. Day 509, I needed more wood, so it was back to chopping. With that out of the way, I could start decorating the wool farm. I swear, roofs are one of the most difficult things to get right. Day 510, I was happy with how the wool farm was coming along. But then I discovered something that really wasn't good. This section of the wool farm was off-center, meaning I needed to move the whole thing forward by 1 block. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to move sheep exactly 1 block forward in this game, and here's some advice. You can't. Despite my efforts, they were all escaping. Yeah, I was kind of mad, but after a long night of pain, I was able to get the sheep that were still alive back in their places. However, I nearly went from just pain to straight out death. After this creeper popped my first totem, I realized there was another one lurking nearby. With no totem and a creeper nearby, I rushed into my trading hall, slammed the door, and grabbed my replacement totem. After that absolutely terrible morning, a wandering trader showed up, and he had nautilus shells. I had the axe in my hand, ready to kill him. But I felt some kind of weird compassion for this guy. Maybe it was because I had come so close to death myself, but I just couldn't bring myself to strike him down. Yeah, those feelings lasted probably about 2 minutes. I worked on the wool farm for the rest of the night and had to deal with more phantoms. Day 512, the wool farm was making good progress. I built all through the day and night and was able to finish by day 513. I also added this little side area with some hay to make the build seem more natural. I also did some more trading like usual and started work on the interior of the farm. I then got the random urge to fight the wither and headed to my wither skull farm. Day 514, I stayed at my wither skull farm until I got 6 heads. When I got back, it was already night and I wasted no time gathering wood. I wanted to complete the floor of the wool farm. Day 515, I finished the floor and I love how the wool farm turned out. I'm glad the villagers don't have freedom or brain cells because then they'd stop giving me 1 emerald per pumpkin. With the scamming done, I flew out to fight the wither. But actually, I was going to fight 2 at the same time. I tried to do this in 500 days and one of them flew away, so I had to fight each of them separately. This time though, I'm making sure I fight them both at once. The fight began and I realized something. Fighting two of the strongest mob in the game at the same time is actually really dumb. Who would have guessed? My swiftness potion ran out, but I was able to take out one of the withers. The final battle with the second was pretty rough, but eventually victory was mine. Day 516, I was extending the stone road that runs through my little town area. Not a whole lot to say, so let's move on to day 517, where I was trying out one of the most busted discoveries ever made in Minecraft. By enabling chunk borders, finding a clay patch, and going out 7 blocks in the positive Z direction, digging straight down will almost always result in diamonds. It definitely works in Java 1.16, but I don't think it does in the 1.17 update. I just got to specify that at the time of recording this part of the video, 1.17 wasn't out yet, so I'm still on 1.16, but don't worry, we will get to 1.17 later. Day 518, I was still at it, and you know when you get a feeling something's about to happen? I had that feeling as I was digging down and swapped to my chestplate. It was a good job I did, because I almost immediately dropped into a cave full of creepers. I continued to mine diamond after diamond. Day 519, of course it's not a Mosey video if the audio isn't broken on at least one day. I decided it would be my last day of diamond mining before I started work on decorating the iron farm. Day 520, I returned home with more diamond ore than I'd ever held in my life. I stacked it all up in a massive pillar to mine it down. The audio is still broken though, and it's genuinely the most unsatisfying thing to not hear the XP noise as I mine the diamonds. I ended up with nearly 4 stacks, which is insane. I headed up to my iron farm because it was time to start decorating. The first thing I did was turn it off because I didn't want golems spawning before I'd finished building and spawn proofing. As I said earlier, this is going to be a hot air balloon that will completely encase the farm, which is good because leaving the iron farm as a floating blob in the sky would hurt my soul. Day 521 was just me building. I think it's starting to look balloony? Is that even a word? Probably not. Day 522, sometimes I look at the villagers and wonder what's going on behind their absolutely massive foreheads. I went about the day building the balloon. Little did I know this was going to be the worst Minecraft day I would ever experience. Although I can't show you the actual event happening because I tabbed out to open Discord, and when I went back to Minecraft the footage didn't record. But can you guess what's wrong from this image? I'd be surprised if you did, but you might notice I only have 2 god apples despite always carrying 3 on me. Notice how I'm standing next to a lava pit? I accidentally threw a god apple, one of the rarest items in the game, into a pit of lava. It's probably better that the whole thing wasn't recorded because I don't think any of us needs to witness that kind of pain. In case you're wondering how I even managed to throw it in fact probably all of you want to know, I have R as my drop item key, which is right next to E for my inventory. So one slip of my finger led to the worst mistake in my Minecraft career. Day 523, I knew I needed to finish the hot air balloon, but all I could think about was losing that apple. I knew there was only one way to fix it, and that was to find a new one. I began scouring the desert in search of temples. Ruined portals were also on the list, although they only have a 1 in 100 chance for a god apple. Day 524, I found this golem stuck in a cactus and watched as his health slowly depleted. But then he looked me right in the eyes and I couldn't let him die. I also got massively conned by this temple because it had a regular golden apple, just not an enchanted one. Day 525 was just me trying to find a new desert. I found this shipwreck fully above land, which looked awesome. I found this temple with a golden apple in chest 1. Chest 2 was the same. Chest 3 did not disappoint. And chest 4. Well, let's just say the TNT in the temples is there for a reason. Day 526 is another day of searching temples and another day without a 3rd god apple. At this point I had gone through at least 20 temples. Day 527 I wasn't giving up. I found this temple and finally I found nothing. I take back what I just said because I gave up. I almost immediately found a bastion though, and bastion chests also have a chance to spawn a god apple. Unfortunately, it didn't have what I wanted. I found another soon after and killed every piglet I could find. I guess they hate fruit or something, because this bastion didn't have a god apple either. Day 528, I found a 3rd bastion, and I'm sure we've all heard the saying, the 3rd time's the charm. Yeah, whoever came up with that was a pathological liar. I had to return to the overworld because things weren't looking good for me. 13,000 blocks out and I've run out of rockets. I still had spare gunpowder from all the temples I've raided, so all I needed was to find sugarcane. Luckily I managed to find some and was back on my way. I found another bastion. It would be a shame to waste the opportunity. Surprise, surprise, no god apple. Bastion number 5. Do I even need to say anything at this point? Nothing of value. Day 529, I finally arrived home. I organised all the loot for my journey into a shulker, and honestly, I'm happy with it. Even though I lost a god apple, all this stuff does kind of make up for it. I then made sure my rocket shulker was fully stacked with spare paper because I never want to repeat the whole sugarcane incident. Now that my adventure was over, it was back to work on the hot air balloon. Day 530, 20 is a whole day of placing wool. Would it have been smarter to just build the balloon from the bottom up instead of building the top first? Yeah, but I don't think of good ideas immediately. I do a bunch of dumb stuff and then realize what I should have done. Day 531, finally the balloon is starting to take shape. By the time night fell, I was done and I felt like making money. I didn't scam my villagers because I would never do that. I then chopped down a big spruce tree because I needed wood to build the basket of the hot air balloon. Day 532, I built the basket of the balloon using a mix of stripped spruce logs and spruce planks. Day 533, I used a campfire to create the effect of the fire inflating the balloon. I think it really brings the build together. With that done, I had to spawn proof the inside of the balloon because otherwise the iron golems wouldn't spawn in the right place and the farm would break. I also needed to spawn proof the outside of the balloon, but I used carpet instead because using buttons would look awful. I had to move the lava pool forward a block because the basket was blocking the golems from falling to their fiery demise. Day 534, there it is, a fully working and decorated iron farm. I had several stacks of TNT after raiding literally every desert temple the Egyptians had ever built and decided to go mining for ancient debris. Day 535, usually my luck with ancient debris is terrible, but after the explosions were done, I had 18 pieces. As I was heading back, I found this bastion, but there was a suspicious lack of piglins. Then I found the quickest way to instantly die. No god apple, but an efficiency 5 diamond pickaxe is always nice. I also made sure to grab the hidden gold stash. As I headed home, I spotted the iron golem I nearly pushed into lava in 500 days. I decided he might as well stick around. Day 536, I went around harvesting my melons and fixing the field. I have to do this every 50 days or so because over time mobs trample the stalks. I then flew out in search of a desert. I found my enderman mate again and hung out with him for a bit. After ages of flying around, I finally found a desert and began tearing it apart. Day 537, I had a full shulker box of sand and was ready to return home. I found a temple, but of course it didn't have a god apple. A quick trip through the nether brought me back to the base. I bought some glass from my librarians and then flew out to the ocean. The reason I gathered all that sand earlier was because I'm going to be draining an ocean monument. It may or may not have taken me the entire night to actually find the monument I wanted, but let's not talk about that. Day 538, I started marking out a circle around the monument. The guardians were already starting to annoy me, but they didn't drive me insane. At least, not yet. I worked on the circle throughout the night and was able to get half of it done by day 539. I kept building and ended up having to carve through this iceberg to make space for the circle. Also phantoms. Gotta love phantoms. With the circle complete, I now had to drop sand around the entire thing. Day 540, I'm holding right click and watching sand fall. It's literally even less fun than it sounds. Does it count as illegal fishing if I killed all the fish with a trident? Day 541. Sand. I ran out of sand and then realized there was a desert literally right next to the monument, so I began destroying the entire ecosystem. I tricked the skeleton into shooting a creeper and got myself a music disc. After finding an entire crypt's worth of skeletons, I realized it was the perfect chance to get more discs. Sure enough, these guys killed creeper after creeper, and by day 542 I had an extra 3 discs in my collection. These pillagers showed up and demanded that I give them the discs. No, these are limited edition. Because of all the time I spent last night not gathering sand, I had to spend the day actually doing that. I returned to the monument and now the fun's over. It's back to Sand Placing Simulator. Day 543, I'm playing Sand Placing Simulator, the sequel. Day 544, it was a pretty long battle, but I beat Sand Placing Simulator and took a pretty cool screenshot. I flew home to get something and then realized I never actually got rid of Bad Omen. I changed my beacon to Resistance 2 and then experienced the biggest power trip of my life. With Resistance, Strength and Regen, I was basically unkillable and absolutely tore through the raiders. Day 545, my killing spree came to an end because I couldn't find the last raider of this wave. I tried grabbing a bell and ringing it because that reveals the location of raiders if they're close enough, but this guy must have played way too much hide and seek as a kid. I accused this wandering trader of treason, but unfortunately he wasn't the final raider. I decided to give up for the time being because the 1.17 update finally dropped, bringing a ton of new features and blocks. I immediately went out in search of an axolotl. I ended up finding 2 of them and took them back home. I have great plans for these guys. Day 546, I set the axolotls free by the Ocean Monument area. This one's called 10 Tails, Destroyer of Worlds, and this one's called Morris. If there was a fight, I reckon Morris would win. Anyway, my plan for these guys was that hopefully they would keep the Guardians under control because axolotls actively hunt Guardians. Also, I needed sand, so it was back to destroying the desert. With the circle of the monument outlined, I now had to create trenches using walls of sand and then drain the trenches with sponge. Day 547, I went through my nether portal and almost ended up in the ether instead. After reloading the world to fix the bug, I began placing all my sponge. Most people already know this, but if you place a wet sponge in the nether, it instantly dries out. With my freshly dried sponge, I drained the first part of the ocean monument. With that done, I now had to extend the trench forward and take down the old wall. Day 548, sand placing placing simulator returns with an insane new game. There's even more sand placing than the last one. 5 out of 5 would definitely recommend. At night I played the spin-off game, Sand Shoveling Simulator. Day 549 I started draining the trench. I have no idea why my game's so broken, but it's really annoying. I got another nether bug, and then when I returned to the overworld the game refused to load more than 2 chunks. I can't decide which part of draining the monument is the worst. Placing the sand is boring, placing the sponge is boring, and trying to jump around gathering up wet sponges makes me want to bang my head on a wall. Anyway, by the end of the day I was able to take down the first sand wall, expanding the dry area of the ocean monument. Day 550, more placing sand. I might as well explain what my plans are for the monument. I want to turn this place into some kind of fantasy forest with some custom trees and mushrooms along with tons of flowers and wildlife. In terms of the monument itself, it is going to have a functional purpose. I'm going to turn it into a guardian farm. By day 551, I drained another section of the monument. I've made progress, but it's painfully slow. We're going to skip ahead to day 552. I headed back to my base for something and realized the raid from earlier was still active. I decided I'd try again to find the final raider, and I actually managed to discover the guy. I don't know why he's in a mineshaft, but he died in the mineshaft, so no one cares. The raid continued as normal, although things nearly went wrong when I fought this ravager head on. I ended up getting down to 3 hearts, but completed the raid. Day 553, I did do some trading with the villagers, but just the usual trades. I wasn't too bothered about my hero of the village status. I headed into the nether because I wanted to find the new deep slate that generates underground. The reason I'm in the nether is because I needed to go far out to load new chunks that I hadn't been to 1.16, because of course 1.16 chunks don't have any deep slate. I arrived in a cave which was perfect and immediately mined as much deep slate as I could carry. I also saw that this cave had tons of emerald ore, which is awesome. When I headed into the nether, the game broke again, which is great. Day 554, I found this bastion and also found out that the piglins were also broken. Usually when you attack a piglin in a bastion, every single one in there turns hostile. But for this bastion, barely any of them got mad as I executed them one by one. No god apple, but a silk touch diamond pickaxe is cool. Day 555, I arrived back home and pillared up with all the ores I've mined. I love that you can use fortune on iron and gold now. I then made a very unfortunate discovery. Pure deep slate can't be used to make deep slate bricks. You need cobbled deep slate. In my opinion, that makes 0 sense, seeing as cobblestone can't be used to make stone bricks, but whatever. We're talking about a game with pig monsters and golden apples. I placed down all the deep slate in my throne room and then mined it all again, this time without silk touch. Day 556, you might be wondering why I've been gathering up all this deep slate. I wanted to make 4 new beacon pedestals. I've seen comments asking for me to make full beacons of iron, gold and diamond, and for the sake of symmetry I'll add another emerald one. I spent the whole day marking out where each of them would go. Day 557, I bought some glazed terracotta for my stonemasons to represent each type of beacon. I then discovered that the most annoying thing in Minecraft isn't creepers or losing a god apple to lava. It's trying to line up this stupid terracotta in the right pattern. Anyway, day 558, I've finished the first pedestal. I love the new deep slate bricks and tiles. They're not as light as regular stone bricks, but not as dark as blackstone either. I had plenty of gold from robbing every single bastion I ever come across and was able to build a max gold beacon. I also added a yellow stained glass pane to make the beacon beam match with the gold. Day 559, I had to smelt some light blue terracotta because my stonemasons didn't sell it. This one's of course going to be the diamond beacon, although I unfortunately don't have enough diamonds to make a maxed one. I ran out of deep slate and needed to get more. The nether broke again, surprise surprise, and then I found a bastion. Nothing good, moving on. I found another bastion and it's honestly so weird just being able to casually kill off the brutes and watch the other piglins go about their day as normal. The one thing I had found from raiding the bastions was a bunch of diamond shovels. When I arrived back in the overworld, I found a shipwreck that had moss blocks, so I was super happy. Day 560, I mined a bunch of deep slate with the right pickaxe this time. As I was heading back to the nether, I smacked this guy's fireballs straight back. When I arrived back home on day 561, I organised my music disc collection. I then finished off the pedestal for the diamond beacon. Unfortunately, I don't have anywhere near the amount of diamond blocks needed to make a max beacon. I AFK'd my creeper farm for the rest of the night, bringing us up to day 562. With a fresh supply of rockets, I returned to the ocean monument. Well, actually I had to go gather more sand, but I'm back to working on the monument. Day 563, I'm cooking fried sponge for the main course. Anyone interested? I gotta be honest, draining an ocean monument is one of the most tedious things I've ever done. If you're thinking about doing it, just watch YouTube or listen to music while you do, because you're gonna get bored very quickly. Day 564 is same old, same old. I'm going to take a moment to shamelessly promote my Discord server, which you should come join. You might even get to see some sneak peeks of videos, so if you're interested, the link is in the description and pinned in the comments. Day 565, I made up my mind that gathering up the wet sponges is the worst part of draining a monument. They're scattered everywhere and you have to pillar up so many times to get them all. On the bright side, progress is definitely being made and I've drained enough water that the monument itself is starting to appear. I also demolished an Arctic habitat, but everything's fine. Day 566 to 567 are me draining the monument, so we'll skip ahead to day 568 where I headed back to my base. I brewed some potions of water breathing and night vision because I had an idea. If there was any way to speed up draining the ocean monument, it would be by having more sponge. I set out in search of a new monument to raid. I found this amethyst geode and all I ever think about when mining amethyst is that it sounds like the song Waterfall from Undertale. Day 569 I found a desert and you can probably tell where this is going. Despite it being a special day, the loot was anything but special. Day 570 I finally found what I was looking for. Although I was actually able to get inside and steal all the gold before mining fatigue, so technically I'd already cleared the monument. But I wasn't here for gold, I was here for sponge, so I changed the Elder Guardians from an endangered species to extinct. I still had mining fatigue, so I flew out to find a cow but ended up not finding one. I flew back to the monument and got the biggest jump scare of my life when the Elder Guardians I just killed were back from the dead. Also, I was playing the game at 4 AM, so my mind was kind of already fried. It didn't take me long to put 2 and 2 together and realize I was at the wrong monument. After finding the original monument, I cleared out its single sponge room. Yeah, I flew out 15,000 blocks for sponge. This was worth it. Day 571, I of course went and annihilated the Elder Guardians in the second ocean monument. Unfortunately, it was a waste of time. These guys never clean anything, so they had no sponge. I made another portal to go home and I actually didn't raid any bastions. Did you really believe what I just said? This bastion was fairly average, but then I found a treasure bastion. Honestly, this chest was pretty good. It had almost full diamond armor. But still no god apple. Why, Mojang? Why? Day 572. Oh, hey man. You having a good day? Yeah, same. I think I might have too many pigset discs, but I'm not too sure. I did a bunch of trading and also fixed both of my elytras and then headed back to the ocean monument. Day 573, I was able to finish draining the next trench and push the sand wall back even further. The phantoms were annoying me even more the usual night, so I smoked them with the power of Zeus. Day 574, I'm placing sand. Wow, interesting. Day 575, I was draining water. For those of you interested in draining an ocean monument, I have some advice. Don't. We're going to skip ahead to day 580 because I can sum up what I did in those 5 days with a few words. Place sand, place sponge, kill the stupid annoying guardians that I hate, and dry the sponge. I headed back to my base because I really wanted a break from draining the monument. I did some villager scamming, trading, forget that, and decided it was time to decorate the lava pit that the iron golems fall into. Also, did you know you can put stone bricks in a furnace to make cracked stone bricks? Like, I genuinely never knew that. My idea was to build a small ruin around the lava to hide it from view. Day 581, I used some of the new moss blocks to give the ruin a more overgrown vibe. I also used some leaves and vines to bring it to life, and I think it came out well. I decided that my next project would be to get a beacon pedestal built here. I had to take down my old bamboo farm, and with that gone, there's no trace of any of the original builds I made in the first 100 days video. Day 582, the terrain here was less than ideal, so I had to do some terraforming. By the end of the day, I was done and I could begin work on the pedestal. This one's going to be for the emerald beacon. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I had an entire family of phantoms spawn on me, extended cousins and all. Day 583, I realised this zombie had taken it upon himself to infect every villager in this hall. I appreciate the effort, but I've done that 3 times already. I was able to finish the pedestal by the end of the day. I've done this a lot, but it never gets old building a max beacon. I also turned off the one in my tower for now because it ruins the symmetry of the other beacons. I also nearly ruined the symmetry of my legs by crashing into the floor, but we'll forget that happened. I spent day 584 terraforming this side of the hill. The new beacon was right in the way of the path, so I had to extend this area out to compensate. I think I did a pretty decent job. I tore up the old path and decided to try a different style. In this case, it was just a simple grass path with some coarse dirt thrown in to add some texture. If I'm honest, I like it a lot more than the mess I have currently. I also wanted to try building a new custom tree, so I went out to gather some oak wood. This skeleton jumped into the nether to escape this wolf, but the wolf didn't care. He just went straight through after his prey. I quickly followed through and tried my best to block the skeleton off so the wolf could take him down. I had to tame this guy. I mean, he jumped into hell to kill a skeleton. He's already my favourite wolf. Day 585, I already knew what I was going to name my new friend. I also realised I needed a name for the cat I tamed at the start of the video, so I named him Banks. As for the wolf, the perfect name was Natsu. I spent most of the day committing my usual acts of deforestation. I know I've complained every time I built one of these, but I hate building custom trees. I just can't get the shape to look natural. All of day 586, I worked on the tree, and by night I was finished. I don't really like it that much. It looks more like a green mushroom than a tree, but I'll leave it. I had to address a problem I've been putting off for a while, which is building a max iron beacon. The place where the beacon needed to go was in a really awkward spot because it was wedged up against this hill. I had two options, either extend the hill to fit the beacon or just demolish the hill. Day 587, I picked the much better option. After using all my TNT up, the hill still wasn't flat enough, so I had to resort to using my pickaxe. I can't wait to sell all this worthless stone to the stonemasons. No, I'm not running a pyramid scheme. Day 588, what was once a hill was now more of a bump. With enough space to work on the beacon, I started building. Day 589, thanks to my iron farm, I had almost enough iron to max out this beacon. I might swap the places of the iron and diamond beacons because this hill would be the perfect place to display the much cooler diamond beacon. Talking of a diamond beacon, I decided it was time to get more diamonds. I could get them honorably, but you know me. I'm doing the clay patch method. The reason I could still do this despite being on 1.17 was because these chunks were generated in 1.16, so all the old diamonds are still there. I also picked up any iron I found because my iron beacon wasn't fully complete. Day 590, still mining diamonds. And falling in lava, gotta love that. Day 591, still mining those delicious slushy coloured ores. Day 592, I returned home and made the usual pillars. From 110 diamond ore, I got 234 diamonds, which I was super happy with. After adding the blocks onto my beacon, I'm about a third of the way towards a max diamond beacon. I farmed my melons and took the pumpkins out of my auto pumpkin farm before making a ton of money off my villagers. As I headed over to finish my iron beacon, I spotted this zombie villager. I could have killed him on the spot, but I've done a lot of bad things. Maybe it's time to do something good. Anyway, after my mini redemption arc, I completed the iron beacon. Day 593, I came up with an idea that would hopefully make draining the ocean monument so much easier. Instead of having to go around collecting all the sponge after removing all the water, why not get a pair of Frostwalker boots and just walk on the water as I went? Before everyone in the comments gets mad, I'd never used Frostwalker before and thought it was a lot better than it actually was. But we'll get onto that in a minute. After dumping 85 levels into these boots, I had a maxed out pair. I then did some trading because I immediately wanted to be back at level 100 and then headed out to the ocean monument. Before I used my new water walking powers, I set up a max beacon with jump boost 2, which would hopefully make my life a lot easier. Get ready everyone, because I did something so insane, so unique. Yeah, I just shoveled sand all night. Day 594, I used all that sand to split this trench in half. I made it way too big and as a result it was really annoying to drain. Then I ran out of sand. Already back here, this is fun. Day 595, the trench was finished and I had the sinking realization that the boots I just spent 85 levels on were a complete waste. Frostwalker only freezes the level of water that you're standing on, and because the water height is all over the place when I drain the trenches, the enchantment is basically useless. I always go for Depth Strider anyway, but rest assured I will never be using Frostwalker again. The only good thing that happened that day was that I moved the sand wall back a bit more. Day 596, I'm sure you can tell, but I'm not going to have the ocean monument fully drained by day 600. However, I was sure that I could at least get to halfway in time for the final day. Day 597, I'm placing sand. Day 598, I'm placing sponge. Day 599, wow, this is really boring. If you're still watching, thanks, because there's probably only about 2 of you still here. Anyway, day 600. I started off by nearly having my lifespan considerably shortened by these guardians. I can't wait until I finish draining the monument and build a farm where they all endlessly die. Oh, me? No, I'm not insane. I drained the monument as fast as I could, but night had fallen and I still hadn't taken down the sand wall. So yeah, we're on day 601, which feels illegal to be honest, but I just couldn't let the video end without finishing this final segment. So here I am on day 601 with the monument over half complete. I promise I'll get this place finished in 700 days, but to end this video I can safely say that I survived 600 days in hardcore Minecraft. Thank you so much for watching, that is going to be it for the video. It took me weeks to make this, so if you could drop a like and subscribe if you want to keep up with the series, it would mean a ton. As mentioned earlier, the link to my Discord is pinned in the comments and linked in the description. If you want to see 700 days, let me know in the comments. That's it from me, and my final message is never use Frostwalker. Peace.